On the television show, The Bold and the Beautiful, this week was a very exciting one. The spectators were treated to a roller coaster of drama that had them hooked to their screens. The show was packed with emotional confrontations, surprising confessions, and long-buried secrets that were brought to light. The revelation of a secret by Taylor, which not only shook Ly Finnegan, but also has the potential to upend relationships all around Los Angeles, was without a doubt the most significant event. There is a calm before the storm on Monday. A sense of unease pervaded Forrester Creations and the numerous families as the week began, and it continued throughout the week. Ridge and Brooke were shown to be at odds with one another once more, unable to come to terms with their apparently never-ending cycle of love and pain. Brooke was unable to shake the idea that Ridge's heart could still be pulled toward Taylor, despite Ridge's assurances that he had chosen her. Despite Ridge's assurances, Brooke continued to have misgivings. In the meantime, Taylor Hayes had been behaving in an unusually reflective manner. Taylor, played by Krista Allen, had been isolating herself and avoided having in-depth talks with the people she cared about over the course of the preceding few weeks. Even those who were closest to her, such as Steffi and Thomas, observed that there was something strange about the way she behaved. In spite of the fact that the show dropped a few signals that Taylor was concealing something big, the extent of her secret was not revealed until a large amount of time later in the week. Frustration on the part of Brooke. At the beginning of the episode, Brooke expressed her sense of annoyance with Ridge's persistent wavering. In a conversation with her sister Donna, she revealed that she had the impression that Ridge's thoughts were elsewhere. On the other hand, Brooke was uncertain as to whether or not she was prepared to listen to the truth when Donna advised that she have an honest chat with Ridge. Ridge's guilt. In the meantime, Ridge appeared to be preoccupied, as memories of shared experiences with Taylor flashed through his head in rapid succession. The emotional ties to Taylor were difficult to dissolve, despite the fact that he had a real love for Brooke. Elsewhere, Finn, played by Tana Novlan, and Steffi Forrester, played by Jacqueline McKeans-Wood, were enjoying a tranquil moment at home, continuing to take pleasure in the cohesiveness of their family despite the previous difficulties they had encountered. Nevertheless, Finn was completely unaware that the impending bombshell that Taylor was going to make was about to completely transform his world. The truth revealed on Tuesday by hints Taylor's peculiar behavior became the focal point of attention by Tuesday, which marked the beginning of a more noticeable increase in tension. Taylor discovered that she was at the hospital, where she was having a private talk with Ly Finnegan, who is Finn's adoptive mother and is played by Naomi Matsuda. Up until this point, the two women had always maintained a friendly relationship with one another. Nevertheless, their connection had never been particularly profound. The inner anguish that Taylor was experiencing was brought to light throughout the episode through dramatic close-ups and monologues. She was debating whether or not to finally reveal the secret that had been weighing on her for several months. While she did not confide in anybody, she could feel her worry rising as she observed Finn and Lee interacting with one another. It seems that there was something about their relationship that made her feel uneasy. As the conversation between Taylor and Ly continued, it became abundantly evident that Ly was becoming increasingly dubious of the content of the chat. As soon as she became aware of Taylor's anxiety, she started challenging her with increasingly specific inquiries. Ly had always been perceptive and intuitive, and as a result, it did not take her very long to have the impression that a significant information was about to be disclosed. During this time, Hope Logan, played by Anika Noel, was experiencing her own set of challenges, as she once again found herself caught in the crossfire of Thomas Forrester's, Matthew Atkinson, lingering love for her. Despite the fact that Thomas had been making strides toward distancing himself from his obsession with Hope, he experienced a slight reversal this week. He was unable to ignore the magnetic draw that he felt toward Hope. Hope's struggle. Hope, who was divided between her personal limits with Thomas and her professional role at Forrester, attempted to manage the situation in a careful manner. On the other hand, she disclosed to Liam, Scott Clifton, that she was already beginning to experience the pressure once more. It was not surprising that Liam was on high alert because he was concerned that Thomas was still a threat. During the chat that she had with Ridge, Taylor came perilously near to divulging her concealed information. It was made very evident that she was emotionally fragile, and she disclosed to Ridge that there was something that she needed to confess. Steffi, however, unexpectedly arrived with information on a fashion event, and she interrupted them before she could continue. Steffi's introduction came as a surprise. Ridge's worry. Following Steffi's interruption, Ridge was unable to shake the notion that Taylor was concealing something significant from him. When he inquired about her well-being, Taylor dismissed his worry by explaining that she was simply preoccupied with a great deal of things in her head. Ridge left, saying that she was more perplexed than she had ever been before, but she determined to investigate whatever was bothering her. While everything was going on, Quinn Fuller, played by Rena Sofer, and Carter Walton, played by Lawrence St. Victor, were having a conversation about their forthcoming plans at the Forrester home. The two had begun a whirlwind romance, but there were indications that Quinn was not quite over her love for Eric, John McCook, despite the fact that they had begun a relationship. Despite the fact that it was simmering in the background, this subplot seemed certain to burst in the weeks to come. On Thursday, the absolutely shocking disclosure, the episode that brought the bold and the beautiful fans to its knees, was the one that aired on Thursday. There was a seemingly harmless beginning, which consisted of Finn and Steffi having breakfast with their children. However, as the morning continued, Finn received a call from the hospital informing him of a patient who required his immediate attention. This left Steffi alone with her thoughts. The decision that Taylor made was that the hospital was where the majority of the action took place. After a night of restless sleep, Taylor made a decision that would forever change her life. Through a phone conversation, she requested that Lai meet with her in a private office. When Lai saw how serious the issue was, he gave his consent to attend the meeting. A cautious beginning was made to the talk that Taylor and Lee were having. It was obvious that Taylor was anxious, as she was walking about the room in an attempt to collect her thoughts. Keeping her composure at all times, Lai waited patiently for Taylor to provide an explanation as to why she had requested the private meeting. The bombshell that Taylor dropped. In a moment of intense emotion, Taylor finally broke down and burst into tears. Despite the fact that tears were running down her cheeks, she made the bombshell revelation that Finn's biological father was not who everyone believed him to be. Before Lai and Jack adopted Finn, it turns out that Taylor had a brief but passionate relationship with a man from her past, who was the father of Finn. This relationship lasted for a few years before Lai and Jack adopted Finn. Incredulous Lai. As a result of this discovery, Lai, who is often composed and quiet, seemed obviously upset, as she attempted to come to terms with the notion that the son she had raised had a biological father who was very different from the one she had been led to think. She felt as though the entire world was collapsing around her. The next thing that Taylor did was explain that she had concealed the information for a number of years because she was unsure of how to handle the truth, particularly after Finn was adopted. She said that the guilt had been eating away at her, but after seeing Finn come dangerously close to passing away and seeing the relationship that he shared with Lai, she was no longer able to keep the information hidden. Friday, aftershocks and the possible fallout. The immediate aftermath of Taylor's bombshell confession was the topic of discussion in the episode that aired on Friday. While Lee was still reeling from the revelation, she struggled to process the feelings that she was experiencing. The moment she left the hospital, she was in a state of confusion, not knowing how to proceed or whether or not she should tell Finn the truth. While Lee was retreating to her house, the anguish that she was experiencing on the inside was evident. In one of the scenes, she was seen staring at a photograph of Finn from his youth. Her hands were shaking as she pondered whether or not she could maintain Taylor's secret or whether or not she owed it to Finn to tell him the truth. The happiness of Finn and Steffi. During this time, Finn and Steffi continued to be blissfully unaware of the bombshell that had just been thrown. He and his wife were entirely clueless to the impending storm that was going to hit their family as they spent the day spending quality time with their children and talking about their future plans for a vacation. Taylor grappled with her guilt in other areas of her life. She had finally told Lai the truth, but the burden of the secret continued to weigh heavily on her heart even after she had done so. Ridge received another confession from her, but this time she merely made a veiled reference to the fact that she had divulged a significant information. Ridge, who had already been skeptical of her since the beginning of the week, exerted pressure on her to provide answers, but Taylor remained silent and simply stated that everything will be revealed in due time. A choice was made by Lai as the program was drawing to a close, which constitutes the cliffhanger. Upon her return to the medical facility, she discovered Taylor working in her office. The conversation became tense when Lai sought to know the identity of Finn's biological father. After coming to the conclusion that there was no turning back now, Taylor disclosed the name. The screen went dark just as she was about to say it, leaving the audience in a state of tension and waiting for her to continue. This week's top themes are hidden truths and lies. The terrible power of secrets was the overarching theme that emerged during the week. The decision that Taylor made to reveal the truth about Finn's biological parents not only put her relationship with Lai in jeopardy, but it also posed a threat to the lives of everyone who was related to Finn. Relationships within the family. The dynamics within the family were at the forefront, with the relationships between Finn, Lai, Taylor, and Steffi receiving the spotlight. All during the week, the subject of whether love or biology is what constitutes a family was investigated in great detail. Guilt and redemption. The battle that Taylor had with guilt was a primary theme of the story, both an act of atonement and a source of enormous personal sorrow. Her decision to eventually confess the truth to Lee was shown as a source of both. After the week came to a close, there was a significant cliffhanger, which left fans hungry to find out what happens next. Is Lee going to reveal the truth to Finn? What kind of response will Steffi have to this awful information? The most essential question is, what will take place when Finn learns the truth about his biological father? There has never been a time when The Bold and the Beautiful has been more dramatic, and the upcoming week is sure to deliver even more unexpected changes and twists. Stay tuned for more.